Coming to you from deep inside the bowels of a great big empty. Get ready for another episode of The Home Defense Show with Skip Coryell.
And that was Golden Glenn, the official announcer of the Home Defense Show, and I'm your host, Skip Coryell, author of 22 books, Marine Corps veteran, founder of the Second Amendment March, proud father of 7, grandfather to 19 and counting, and as a special bonus, I'm also madly in love with my own wife. My priorities in life are God, family, and country in that order, and I hereby promise to never compromise in my convictions. I may go broke, but I'll never go woke. And joining me today is my faithful co-host, Sara Coryell. Sara, welcome to the Home Defense Show again.
Thank you. It's great to be here again.
Well, it is. You know, I've been reading all these articles lately about diversity, equity, inclusion.
I'm sorry.
You know, of the transgender sports thing. Have you been following that at all?
As little as possible.
As little as possible?
It's horrible. It's so
It
disgusting.
is horrible. Well,
these poor girls, they work so hard.
oh, okay. So I was going to ask you for your opinion, but that was silly of me, wasn't it? Just tell me, what's your opinion? What's your
You've
opinion?
given me little bits as you've been researching it, and it just makes me sick. But
Yeah.
these poor girls, they work so hard, and then some boy who can't make it on the boys' team comes and, scrubs the floor with them. It's just...
Yeah, what it makes me want to do, it makes me want to compete against these boys who can't make it against other boys.
Oh,
And even at 67 years old, I think I could take them.
well, got more heart. Anyway.
Maybe not in swimming.
Maybe not.
I sink like a rock. But I don't know. I have a message to these, quote, what do we call them? Do we call them boys? Do we call them girls? Do we call them mutants? So what do we call these men that are saying that they think they're a woman?
Confused.
Confused. Well, actually, gender dysphoria, that is a term.
Yeah, that seems the most accurate, yes.
Yeah, and what does that have to do with the Home Defense Show? Well, I guess we're...
Our girls against such things.
Yeah, trying to defend our girl. We have a 14-year-old girl still at home here.
Boys, too. I mean, it's confusing because then they end up with friends that have these weird problems, too, and
Yeah.
it affects everybody.
Yeah, well, if you go back 30, 40 years, if a person thought they were of the opposite gender, they would have to get medical or mental
institution?
treatment. Yeah. They'd be put in an institution, something like that, because obviously if you're so confused you don't know what sex you are, you're not living in the real world.
Yeah.
But it's sad. It's sad, and I think all those people, we should just pray for them.
Yes, definitely.
Because there's...
And their families, because my goodness, can you imagine?
Yeah. It affects everybody.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, hey, enough banter about gender dysphoria. What's on the show today, Sara?
Well, today we are talking to Brady Schickinger. He is the executive director of Michigan Coalition for Responsible Gun Owners. Then, in the Shootingclasses.com self-defense report, we'll be talking to attorney and firearms instructor Deron Boring from Ohio.
Yeah, going to be a good show. Brady's going to tell us about some good things that are happening in the Michigan legislature pertaining to firearms. So that's good.
Excellent. Could be great.
But before we get too far into the show, let's thank our sponsors, United States Concealed Carry Association, Shootingclasses.com, Center Shot Indoor Gun Range, and Apple Tree Media. So what's in the news today, Sara?
By Dr. John Lott at Crime Prevention Research Center. Democrats just can't let go of their push for an assault weapons ban. Meanwhile, Americans are waiting for the Supreme Court to intervene. 13 times the court has relisted the Snope versus Brown case, which addresses Maryland's ban on semi-automatic rifles and large-capacity magazines. It seems increasingly likely the court will hear the case next year, and the decisions in Heller and Bruin make it clear that these bans are unconstitutional. These laws ban guns in common use, and analog exists for these bans. But on April 30th, Senator Adam Schiff, Democrat of California, introduced the so-called assault weapons ban of 2025. It picks up where his predecessor, Dianne Feinstein, left off. It bans semi-automatic rifles that use detachable magazines and have a barrel shroud, a cover for the barrel that allows the user to hold the barrel while aiming the gun without burning their hand. Schiff's bill would outlaw widely owned semi-automatic firearms like the AR-15. Just a week earlier, Illinois State Senator Selena Villanova introduced the Responsible Gun Manufacturing Act, which would effectively ban popular Glock semi-automatic handguns. In April, Colorado enacted a law that makes it illegal to buy, sell, and make semi-automatic firearms that have detachable ammunition magazines without time-consuming training that the governor hopes could cost $200. This push isn't new. In 1998, then Illinois State Senator Barack Obama backed a ban on the sale or transfer of all forms of semi-automatic weapons. For years, gun control advocates targeted guns based on their appearance. Now, instead of going after how a gun looks, Democrats have shifted to targeting how guns function. In 2021, President Joe Biden announced, whether it's a 9mm pistol or whether it's a rifle is ridiculous. I'm continuing to push to eliminate the sale of those things. In 2022, he said, I don't see any rationale to why there should be such a weapon able to be purchased. The AR-15 became a popular target because it resembles a military M16, but AR-15s use essentially the same bullets as do small game hunting rifles. They even fire at the same rapidity and cause the same damage. Unlike fully automatic machine guns, which will fire bullets for as long as you press the trigger, semi-automatic guns fire only one bullet per trigger pull. No self-respecting military in the world would use these semi-automatic guns. The uninformed may still ask, why do people need an AR-15 to kill deer? What do you think? Deer are wearing Kevlar vests? Similarly, in 2023, Florida Congressman Jared Moskowitz claimed people don't hunt deer with an AR-15 because it would leave nothing left. But they have it backwards. Indeed, most states prohibit using the AR-15 .223 caliber bullets out of concern that they will wound, not kill the animal, and they don't want to make the deer suffer. The AR-15 just looks like a military weapon, but it is just a small game hunting rifle.
That's by John Lott. I just interviewed him last week on Frontlines of Freedom, the military show that I co-host with Denny Gillum. He had a lot of good things. John Lott, he's the author of More Guns, Less Crime. I'm sure you folks have heard of that. He does the premier pro-gun research better than anyone else out there. So check out Crime Prevention Research Center and online, and you're going to learn a lot of good stuff. But the AR-15, what he says is absolutely right. Last year, I shot 2 deer with an AR-15, and basically the deer has to be closer range or it doesn't take them out. Not near as good as the 350 Legend, but media and the far left, they make the AR-15 sound like an M60 machine gun, and that's just not the case. I think the takeaway here, Sarah, is that even though Donald Trump is president and the Republicans control the House and the Senate, the Democrats have not given up.
Oh, no.
In the blue states and in the purple states, man, they are still going after the same old gun bans that they always have gone after. So all you folks out there, you conservatives, you pro-gun people, you can't rest. You've got to stay vigilant and get ready, because their time is going to come again, and we're going to have to fight again. So.
Well, and they use their media machine to speak of these things as though they're so dangerous. So we have to speak the truth, explain what they really are, and tell people what an...
Absolutely. All right, and now it's time for our home defense show, Hero of the Week. Sarah, you're not going to like this one. And when I picked it out, I thought, Sarah's not going to like this.
Oh, yeah?
But
That's what you thought?
That's what I thought. But, because it's kind of sad, but I think it's real important. Go ahead.
A 15-year-old boy died protecting his younger sister from an intruder who broke into their home on Thursday afternoon, authorities in Florida said. It has been a very tough scene to deal with, he said. It was a senseless crime. Around 4:30 p.m., authorities responded to calls about a suspicious person and that a man with apparent stab wounds was wandering around the Starlight neighborhood in Port Charlotte, which is about 100 miles south of Tampa. When officers arrived, the suspect, identified as 27-year-old Ryan Cole, attempted to flee. Police apprehended him about 15 minutes later. The officers were trying to piece together what happened. They also started getting reports of several burglaries in the area, and the subject was actually positively identified at one of the burglary scenes, the sheriff said. While they were combing through the neighborhood, authorities noticed that the doorway to one home was damaged. Inside, they found the body of Kyler Edmond and his little sister, who was unharmed. It appears that the suspect had broken into this residence. A violent encounter ensued, where we believe that the teenager was trying to protect the home and protect their younger sibling, Prommel said. Like I said, a violent encounter ensued, and the teenager had succumbed to their injuries. Cole, who had stab wounds on his hands and side, was taken to a hospital and then into custody. Cole has a history of drug use and was known by authorities, the sheriff said, adding that he was currently on probation. Cole was charged with burglary, theft, and violating his parole. He is facing additional counts related to Kyler's death. Jail records show that he has been arrested more than 20 times since 2011, 5 times this year alone, for crimes like drug possession, burglary, trespassing, resisting arrest, and stealing. Cole, who had stab wounds on his hands and side, was taken to a hospital and then into custody. We are working very closely with the state attorney's office to make sure that we provide the best case we can so that this individual does not see the light of day again, Prommel added. My son had a long life ahead of him that was taken too soon, his mother wrote. On Facebook, next to his school picture, she posted that a piece of my heart will forever be missing. Kyler loved fishing, the outdoors, bumper cars, and riding bikes with his friends, according to his obituary. He was a member of his high school's National Junior Reserve Officers Training Corps and wanted to join the military after graduation. The teen, who was full of life, was known for his unselfishness and always putting others before himself. Kyler will always hold the title of an awesome big brother to his siblings, especially his sister. He was kind, caring, loving, and will be missed by many, his family wrote in their tribute.
Pretty sad, huh?
Wow.
Yeah, I know. I think that really hits home for me because we have a 15-year-old son.
Yeah.
And we have raised him to be a protector and a defender. And I can see him or, Phoenix or Cedar, I can see them protecting you or even me or our daughter with their own life. And so that's what makes it extra sad. I mean, it's Kyler, he was the stuff that heroes are made out of. And, the good guys don't always win.
No.
We
need to do the good thing anyway.
Yeah, well, I was raised to believe that good always triumphs over evil, but that's not true.
In the long game.
Yeah, well, in the long game, yeah, but we live in the short game, right? We live and die in the short game too. And Kyler did his best with what he had, but he was going against a full-grown man.
Who had experience at such nonsense.
Well, and who was just evil and mean.
Right. It might have been on drugs too. Yeah.
Well, it's sad, but I want to make sure that we honor Kyler. Just an awesome, awesome kid. And we'll pray for him and his family.
Yeah.
All right. That left us kind of somber, didn't it? Sorry, guys. It's not always happy, fun, unicorn, and pixie dust. All right. Well, Sarah, what's coming up next on the show?
Next, we're talking to Brady Schickinger. He is the Executive Director of Michigan Coalition for Responsible Gun Owners. Then, in the Shootingclasses.com self-defense report, we'll be talking to attorney and firearms instructor Deron Boring from Ohio.
In the meantime, God bless and stay safe, and God bless Kyler from Florida. We will be right back.
Firearms training should be easy. Instructors can focus on teaching and not worry about all the complex paperwork and management behind the scenes. Just pull the trigger and let us do the administrative work. Welcome to Shootingclasses.com.
At Center Shot Gun Range, we are passionate about training. Don't know where to start? We offer a 1-hour new shooter seminar to introduce you to the world of firearms and help you find training opportunities specific to you. Concealed carry, home defense, firearm safety, AR-15, private one-on-one training, custom training, or maybe you're on a security team looking to protect your church or business. We even offer weekday morning and evening classes. Center Shot Gun Range has you covered. Start your journey at centershotgunrange.com.
Firearms training should be easy. Instructors can focus on teaching and not worry about all the complex paperwork and management behind the scenes. Just pull the trigger and let us do the administrative work. Welcome to shootingclasses.com.
Attention business owners. Are you leaving your website open to security issues and hacking due to a lack of maintenance or overseas outsourcing? Don't let that happen to your business. Choose experienced U.S.-based website developers that can customize your website to fit your specific needs. Appletree MediaWorks has been growing businesses online since 2009. With over 80 years of combined experience, their team conducts constant research and development to keep up with ever-changing online threats. Your website deserves the best protection available. Call Appletree MediaWorks today at 877-977-1364 to keep your website secure and grow your business online. Or visit appletree.media.
Avoid danger, save lives, and keep your loved ones safe. If this sounds good to you, you sound good to me. And I'd like to help you do those things. Avoid danger, save lives, and keep your loved ones safe. If you're looking for more excitement in your life, we have nothing to offer you. But if you are a thoughtful, responsible, nonviolent man or woman, we'd love to teach you what to do if something crazy happens. More importantly, we'd like to teach you what not to do. We currently have over 500,000 members. They are doctors and single moms and firemen and grandmothers and veterans and Democrats and Republicans and members of every faith. But the one thing they all have in common is that they know exactly what to do if something crazy happens. When you're with one of our members, you are safe. Our members know how to de-escalate situations. They know how to calm things down. We are the United States Concealed Carry Association. See what we're all about at usconcealedcarry.com.
Discover the little-known backstory of the U.S. Concealed Carry Association at usconcealedcarry.com.
He's no Einstein, but he can read and write and feed himself just like a big boy. Welcome back to the Home Defense Show with Skip Coryell.
And that was the beautiful and sultry voice of Golden Glenn, the official announcer of the Home Defense Show. Folks, we live in a dangerous world, and I want you to be able to protect and defend the ones you love. And that's why I have this show. It's my way of empowering you to accomplish one of your primary jobs in life. You are a protector and a defender. All right, listeners, before we get too far into the show, don't forget to check out our sponsors, United States Concealed Carry Association, Shootingclasses.com, Center Shot Indoor Gun Range, and Appletree Media. Without our sponsors, this show wouldn't be on the air, so we thank you all. All right, and now I want to welcome a special guest, a friend of mine, Brady Schickinger. He's the Executive Director of Michigan Coalition for Responsible Gun Owners. Brady, welcome back to the Home Defense Show.
All right. Thank you, Skip. And thank you for the excellent pronunciation on the last name. That's a tough one. Most people don't get right. So,
well, actually, Brady, I think that's the first time I've gotten it right. But, I purposely looked that up on the website because, it seems like you've corrected me before. And so I looked it up and go, yeah, I always say Schickinger, but it's supposed to be Schickinger.
The actual German pronunciation is Schickinger. So, yeah, you're right either way. So.
Oh, okay. Well, you can teach an old dog new tricks. So I'm not totally incorrigible.
Oh,
all right. Brady, man, we have got, first, before we get into what we were going to talk about, I wanted to congratulate MCRGO on becoming the official NRA state-sanctioned organization. Did I say that right? What's the title?
Right. Yep. MCRGO is now the official NRA state association. We been looking at that for a few years, but we waited until NRA got past its problem period, clearing up the lawsuits that were happening from the external attacks, plus the internal challenges the organization had been facing over the past decade or so. That is now behind the NRA. The NRA is moving forward. And yeah, we are happy now to be the official NRA state association in Michigan. Of course, that doesn't change anything with our independence. We have our own training program. We have our own board that takes its own legislative positions. So we're not a subset of the NRA. We're an independent organization that is just associated now with the NRA.
Good. And that's the way it should be. I read the letter from Steve Doolin about changes to the NRA and how it was being reformed, reorganized, so to speak. And I was very happy about that because I've been concerned about that for several years now. So I'm glad that's behind us and that the NRA can get out there and be strong and powerful and help fight for our Second Amendment rights
Sure.
more than ever, I think.
Mhm.
All right. But Brady, we were going to talk about some firearms legislation here in the state of Michigan, and one that is near and dear to my heart is hunting, because I'm an old Ted Nugent guy. I shot 10 deer last year alone. 5 on a block permit and 5 in the regular season. And that's basically what my family eats is venison. It's just a cleaner, more healthy meat. And for me, it's a heck of a lot of fun to go
Sure.
shopping.
Yep.
But that's not the case, across the board, especially here in Michigan. So I saw this HB 4285 firearm safety education bill come up. And can you talk to us about that?
Sure. So House Bill 4285 is a reintroduction of the bill from last legislative session that passed the Senate with a bipartisan support. I think there was one Democratic no vote on it. And the person may just not have been aware of what they were voting on. I think that's what they said happened in the Senate. But then you might recall that drama that we had during lame duck session last December. And House Bill 4285 got caught up in that and never ended up passing. So it's been reintroduced here now as a House bill. It's been taken up in House committee. It passed out of House committee on Tuesday of this week. Again, full bipartisan support. There were 2 Democratic legislators passed on it. All the other Democrats and the Republicans all voted in favor of it. We're expecting to see passage on the House floor, if not this afternoon, then next week. And we believe the bill will pass easily. This may be the only firearms related bill that we see getting to the governor's desk actually this session, because as you know, we have a Republican controlled House, Democratic controlled Senate. There's going to be a lot of gridlock happening in the legislature this session.
Sure. What exactly does this bill do, Brady?
Right now, we have MDNR runs a firearms, our hunter safety education program. A lot of your listeners are probably already familiar with that program. What most people probably don't realize is in our mind, we think of a person going through that program being a teenager. That's not the case. The average age for that hunter safety education program in Michigan is actually 26 years old right now. So it's a lot older than what many people picture. What this bill would do is allow school districts in Michigan to provide that program, or at least the non-field portion of that program, through the schools as an optional program, either as an extracurricular activity or as part of a PE class, physical education class. And then the students would go off with a firearm or a hunter safety education instructor and do the field portion off of school property, likely on a weekend.
That sounds great to me, Brady, because over the past 10 years or so, even 20, we have seen numbers decline here in Michigan. I did a little bit of research, and nationwide, it's hit and miss. It's like some states will show increase, but a lot of states will show decreases as well. And in Michigan, it's been steadily decreasing for, I think, over 20 years now. But man, even with my own children, it's like they weren't really into it. Even though they see me hunt, they would see me hunt, and they were all for me doing it. And they now that I'm older, my kids that they go out and I'll shoot the deer and I'll let them gut it out and drag it out of the woods, but which is a great deal for me. But as far as sitting out there quietly in the woods for 4 hours at a stretch, they're really not into that. And I think there's all kinds of reasons for that. But I think for my kids mostly, it's just electronic entertainment has taken over everything else. I mean, kids don't play outside as much as they used to. They don't play in the woods. They're on some type of a screen all the time. So I see this bill as a way to just get the kids before the computers get them, which
Sure.
is that is a lot of competition there, a
Right.
computer screen.
And you're
But
absolutely right. We're looking at hunting and fishing numbers right now with the younger millennials, Gen Z, and now Gen Alpha. Fishing is actually booming right now with those younger generations, while hunting is taking a steep nosedive, just like you
mm,
explained. And a large part of the reason for that, and you hit right on it, it is the social media and the online entertainment. You can sit in a camp chair next to a bridge or a pond fishing while you're on your social media a lot
yeah,
easier than you can in a blind, because the dynamics of hunting versus fishing. And yeah, fishing is doing really, really well right now. Hunting, not so much.
yeah. Well, yeah, hey, I love to fish too. Any kind of wild game is great. But I went ahead and I did some research on the internet about maybe a combination of factors that were affecting this, and one is increased anti-hunting pressure. It's still legal, but I guess culturally, there's a big push to ban hunting. They say, oh, it's cruel, it's unusual, shouldn't be done, it's morally wrong. But I guess having it in the schools or available in the schools, you'd at least get kids access to initial training. And that would be a really, really good thing because right now it's not even on a kid's radar. So this is a great thing.
And MCRGO is not a hunting organization, but we're excited about this bill mainly for the firearm safety component. MCRGO runs its own CPL training classes, but the minimum age to get into those CPL training classes is 18 years old. So it's all adults.
Yeah.
Before that, the only firearm safety education a child is receiving outside the home is usually going to be the Eddie Eagle program, and that's only if they're in a school district that offers Eddie Eagle or some similar type firearm safety program. And that program is designed for pre-K through the fourth grade. So there's this big gap between the fourth grade and graduation, those 8 years where there is no firearm safety happening at all unless one of these kids does happen to take firearm safety or hunter safety education by themselves or with their parents outside outside of the school, and this would bring this into the school district. It fills that gap that's missing right now with the firearm safety component.
Yeah, well, I'm glad to hear that it's bipartisan and it's like you're pretty sure it's going to get to the governor's desk. Any any guess on what the governor is going to do with it?
So the governor is going to look to DNR, MDNR, and MDNR, I believe, is supporting this bill. They wanted to see a change regarding the hours of the program in the school districts. I believe they got that change in the substitute bill that's now made it to the House floor. So I think MDNR is going to be on board with the bill, which means the governor should be signing it. Of course, the legislative process is very uncertain. A lot of different things can happen between then and now. So, we have to wait and see what happens to this bill once it goes through the Senate before it gets to her desk.
All right, so for the next couple of weeks, we should keep our eyes peeled on that one.
Yeah, I would say not the next week in the House. Of course, we're going on toward Memorial Day, which means finishing up the budget and then summer vacation. So we may not actually see this bill being taken up in the Senate until this autumn.
Oh, okay. All right, good enough. All right, all right. Well, Brady, is there anything else going on legislatively?
So, yeah, there are a very large package of school safety bills that are going through right now that are separate from this bill. And these bills come out of that Oxford school shooting that happened in November of 2021. Yeah, it's been 3.5 years now. So immediately after that Oxford school shooting in Oakland County in November of 2021, the legislature created a bipartisan task force to come up with ideas on improving school safety that did not include the addition of gun control. That was a key criteria there. And
Okay.
they came out with their recommendations at the end. I'm trying to get my years right now. At the end of 2022, And they were introduced at the beginning of 2023, a mix of Democratic and Republican bills. And then Democrats had control of both the House and the Senate during the 2023-2024 session. And because the bills did not have any gun control components to them, there wasn't a whole lot of political incentive for the Democrats when they had their trifecta to move any of these bills. And they just sat in committee without being acted on for over 2 years. Well, now the Republicans have come in, taking control of the House, and we're starting to see this package move now.
Okay. Can you give us some examples of what changes would be made if these were to pass into law?
Sure. Yep. And I'll just read down some of the bills right now and their titles, and it gives you a good idea of what we're looking at. House Bill 4222 modifies the procedures for the school emergency operations plans, standardizing it across the state. 4223, which is a companion bill, creates standards for training for school safety and security. 4224 requires safety guidelines and lockdown procedures standardized across the state. 4225 is adding okay to say program information on students' ID cards. 4226 increases the number of security drills school districts go through every year. What these bills are is a standardization of school safety and security across the state, as well as increasing social services and mental health availability, resources that are available to students and their families.
Okay. All right. Well, I don't see any problem with that right offhand. What is MCRGO's stance on these bills?
So we are taking a wait and see position on them. Bills as introduced are fine. No problems with them at all. But we know that there's a temptation out there to add gun control language to the bills, and that's what we're worried of, especially once the bills get over to the Senate. They're starting in the House right now. They're going to pass the House in a format that we're going to be able to support. What happens to them in Senate committee is what remains to be seen.
Okay. And what is the time frame for that, you think?
I think we'll see these bills move out of the House before the legislature goes on its summer break before Independence Day. Whether or not these bills are taken up in the Senate or not is all going to be a result of negotiations back and forth between the House and the Senate.
Politicking.
Yep, a lot of politicking and horse deals.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, is there anything else going on with MCRGO that people might be interested in?
So, this change of us becoming an NRA state association is going to affect somewhat of the way we're communicating with our members. We're going to see much more dynamic membership involvement over the next few months. We're going to be more tied into NRA PVF's political efforts as we get closer to the 2026 election. We're looking forward to the implementation of youth programs, which we haven't had to date, and a competitive shooting program. And that'll all be coming out over the next few years.
I like that competitive shooting program. Yeah, that's great. All right. Well, Brady, that is all sounding pretty good. For the last couple of years, we haven't had a lot of good news here in the state of Michigan on the pro-gun front. So I'm glad to hear that things have maybe stabilized, and maybe we'll get some good laws passed here. We'll have to wait and see, I guess. Any last words?
Oh, thank you very much, Skip, for having me on the program again. And our political situation in the state is really going to depend on what happens in November of 2026 during the next general election.
Yeah, boy, it's always the next election, isn't it?
Yep.
All right. All right. Well, Brady, before you go, where can people go online to find out more about MCRGO?
So our website is at mcrgo.org. That's mcrgo.org. That's the best place to start. Also, if they are on Facebook, we have the public page at facebook.com/MCRGO.
All right. Fantastic. Brady, thanks for being on the Home Defense Show today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Skip.
This is Skip Coryell on the Home Defense Show. Coming up next, we'll have the Shootingclasses.com self-defense report with firearms instructor Deron Boring from Ohio, where we get some expert advice on how to defend yourself against buck-naked home invasions, where shooting for center of exposed mass takes on a whole new meaning. You're going to like that one. But during the break, I want you to log into rumble.com and search on the Home Defense Show. I posted a series of entertaining and educational videos there just for you. Check them out and don't forget to like, share, and follow. God bless and stay safe, because we will be right back.
Firearms training should be easy. Instructors can focus on teaching and not worry about all the complex paperwork and management behind the scenes. Just pull the trigger and let us do the administrative work. Welcome to Shootingclasses.com.
At Centershot Gun Range, we are passionate about training. Don't know where to start? We offer a 1-hour new shooter seminar to introduce you to the world of firearms and help you find training opportunities specific to you. Concealed carry, home defense, firearm safety, AR-15, private one-on-one training, custom training, or maybe you're on a security team looking to protect your church or business. We even offer weekday morning and evening classes. Centershot Gun Range has you covered. Start your journey at CentershotGunRange.com.
Firearms training should be easy. Instructors can focus on teaching and not worry about all the complex paperwork and management behind the scenes. Just pull the trigger and let us do the administrative work. Welcome to Shootingclasses.com.
Attention business owners. Are you leaving your website open to security issues and hacking due to a lack of maintenance or overseas outsourcing? Don't let that happen to your business. Choose experienced U.S.-based website developers that can customize your website to fit your specific needs. Appletree MediaWorks has been growing businesses online since 2009. With over 80 years of combined experience, their team conducts constant research and development to keep up with ever-changing online threats. Your website deserves the best protection available. Call Appletree MediaWorks today at 877-977-1364 to keep your website secure and grow your business online. Or visit appletree.media.
Avoid danger, save lives, and keep your loved ones safe. If this sounds good to you, you sound good to me. And I'd like to help you do those things. Avoid danger, save lives, and keep your loved ones safe. If you're looking for more excitement in your life, we have nothing to offer you. But if you are a thoughtful, responsible, nonviolent man or woman, we'd love to teach you what to do if something crazy happens. More importantly, we'd like to teach you what not to do. We currently have over 500,000 members. They are doctors and single moms and firemen and grandmothers and veterans and Democrats and Republicans and members of every faith. But the one thing they all have in common is that they know exactly what to do if something crazy happens. When you're with one of our members, you are safe. Our members know how to de-escalate situations. They know how to calm things down. We are the United States Concealed Carry Association. See what we're all about at usconcealedcarry.com.
Discover the little-known backstory of the U.S. Concealed Carry Association at usconcealedcarry.com.
They say he eats crayons and his knuckles drag on the ground, but that's only half true. Welcome back to the Home Defense Show with Skip Coriel.
And that was the beautiful and sultry voice of Golden Glenn, the official announcer of the Home Defense Show, and I'm your host, Skip Coriel. Don't forget to check out our sponsors, United States Concealed Carry Association, Shootingclasses.com, Appletree Media, and Centershot Indoor Gun Range for all your training and equipment needs. And now it's time for our weekly self-defense report, sponsored by Shootingclasses.com. And today we're speaking with attorney and self-defense instructor Deron Boring from the great state of Ohio. Deron, thanks for coming back on the Home Defense Show today.
Always happy to be here. This is always fun.
Well, and today it's going to be super fun because this is just a crazy crime that we're going to be talking about today. So I hope you're ready for this.
I am.
You brought your A game and a sense of humor?
I hope so. My sense of humor and a little bit of the legal hat too, because this has got all of it.
Okay. All right. I will start by reading the article. It's not real long, but it's potent. Here we go. A naked burglar was shot by a homeowner in Chino, California on Tuesday, police said. They were dispatched to the 4300 block of Lombardy Court at around 11:35 a.m. after receiving a call from someone saying that a man had broken into their home through a front window, according to the Chino Police Department. Quote, the caller stated that her husband had shot the intruder inside the residence. When they arrived, they found the suspect, who was completely disrobed and appeared to be under the influence of drugs, inside the home. He was arrested and taken to a nearby hospital for treatment. I'm sorry. I'm thinking like rehab, but that's not right.
Yeah.
For treatment on gunshot wounds to his lower body. He is said to be in stable condition. Investigators have identified the suspect as a 21-year-old Whittier man, Sven Sokolovskis. Sokolovskis is facing charges related to the residential burglary and will be formally charged upon his release from the hospital, police said. They will present the case to the San Bernardino County District Attorney's Office for review. The homeowner was not arrested, police noted. All right, and then here's a quote here from the police chief. Crimes like this do not generally occur in Chino. I'm glad the victims are safe. Okay. I had the opportunity to meet with them and offer our department support as they recover from this traumatic experience. Their strength and composure in the face of such a frightening situation is truly commendable. All right. There's so many. If I was a stand-up comic, I could do a whole show just on this article, but Deron, you got first crack at it.
Well, first of all, and what the article didn't mention after doing a little bit of other research on this was he broke into the house fully clothed. And so on top of this, I don't know if you caught that in the one video report, but it broke into the house fully clothed. And I'm just wondering what was going through these poor homeowners' mind when the guy begins disrobing after unsuccessfully getting through the door, getting through a window fully clothed, and then this starts happening.
Well,
scary.
This could be just a big mistake. He was there. He's working as a Chippendales or something, and he thought he was at a birthday party. Who knows?
It actually makes me question, did he think he was at home? Or, I mean, he went through the window, which is obviously, as I always tell people in my classes, when they come through a door or window like that, they're typically not coming over with coffee and donuts for you. But It just makes me wonder what was going through this. I mean, obviously high stoned or whatever, but did he think he was home and it's just time to get comfortable?
Drugs is such a wild card. It takes all the regular rules and throws them out the window, and it's like all bets are off. Drugs, alcohol, that's the way it works.
I have a friend that's a police officer, and we were talking the other day, and he literally looked at me and he said, you've never lived until you've wrestled a guy high. And this just sort of, those words stuck to me watching this, because again, I have no words when I think about this, because he came in fully clothed and does this. And at this point, you can tell somebody is not in their rational mind at that point. And a violent entry at that point. And then to that happening, it's asking yourself, what's the next thing that's going to happen? Legitimately raises any credible threat of fear in your mind. And I laughed hysterically at this when I read this.
Yeah.
But the terror at this point of this guy is clearly not in his right mind, and what is the next step is scary.
Well, and he tried to break down the front door first. That didn't work, so he punched through the window with his fist, and then came in. And of course, the natural thing to do after that is to take off all your clothes. But what do you say to a naked man inside your house who's just broken in through your window?
I think you can say get out once, and at that point in time when they don't, it's again, I hate to say all bets are off, but it's, and not knowing California law well, but looking at this in the eyes of Ohio law on this, Ohio has the castle doctrine, which one, you're presumed to be acting in self-defense if you're in your home and they're not in your home lawfully. And, I tell people that doesn't mean shoot first and ask questions later, but you look at the totality of this, it's hilarious. But wow, try and kick in the door, that failed. Come in through another means and then immediately begin disrobing. And at that point you question yourself, what is his intent with the next move here? Yeah. And, I think one command of get out of my house and, one step forward at that point in time. And I think again, as I said, I don't think he was there for a social call at that point in time.
Well, yeah. And, from a tactical standpoint, what was going through my head is, the phrase, shoot for center of exposed mass takes on a whole new meaning at that point.
That's the truth. Actually, and I don't know if you know the story of John Dobb, who is a firearms instructor that had a similar incident happen at his house years ago. And it sort of reminded me of that story a little bit because, John ultimately shot the gentleman that broke through. But again, you have no choice. At the point where they don't leave and they come in through, the most violent and intrusive of means, it's scary. Because what do you think? I don't think there's any other way to interpret that.
Well, there's no way that a rational, sane person can guess, what this guy is going to do. He's already done some really crazy things. So it's reasonable to think he's going to do other crazy, terrible things.
It's the truth. And I would contrast that with, again, when I teach classes, I tell people, don't shoot the drunk that breaks in and falls asleep on your couch when you're not home. That's very different than, aggressive person kicks in door, fails, goes through window, comes in window, strips off. That is clearly a very dangerous and not rational person at that point in time.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So with your lawyer's hat on, the fact that he came in there and just stripped down and was buck naked, did that add to the totality of the circumstances?
I do, because the definition of serious bodily harm or death, well, what's one of the definitions of serious bodily harm? Well, that's sexual assault, rape, anything else. And, I don't know if there were women or children or whatever in the house, but immediately my question of what is his intent on this whole thing, and obviously, again, this is just an irrational person that's very dangerous. And I think, one or two commands, get out now, with one or two steps forward in the wrong direction, I think shows enough of an aggression to likely rise to, that rebuttable presumption of self-defense at that point, because not rational, dangerous, threatening. There is not much more threatening than punching out a window and coming in.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and California to me, it just has a reputation for, take all the crazy people in the world and put them in one place, and you have California. I know that's not true, but that's the reputation for especially Southern California, right? And in a sane place, like Ohio or the Midwest, the South, it's like you get a medal for shooting a guy like this. But it's just, but even in California, you can shoot a naked crazy man who breaks into your house, and you won't be arrested. They didn't even arrest the homeowner, which
and there's no reason to in this case. I mean, I think the facts are just so plainly obvious on this that there was a significant threat that didn't in any way de-escalate the situation. I mean, this guy could have said, whoops, wrong house, and turn around and leave. And I'm going to guess that part of the story is that there was another threatening advance. I'm going to guess that this homeowner didn't just shoot the guy standing at the window. Again, there's more to this story that we're not hearing. And you feel sorry for the homeowners as much as, we can laugh at this and it's ridiculous. This happened in their own home, and that is the absolute violation of the sanctity of their home. And, I hate to say this, crime scene cleanup teams aren't cheap. So this wasn't a great situation for these people. And, it's the right outcome on every level. The guy lived, the threat was stopped, the homeowner wasn't charged, the police moved on with their day. I think this is, albeit still traumatic, I think the right outcome on every level.
Well, and I looked for surveillance video, and I breathed a sigh of relief when I didn't find any. I mean, that's.
Thank you for not sharing that with me if you did find it.
Well, normally that would be helpful, right? And it probably would be helpful. It's just it's not something that I want to see. It's like too much information.
I'm good. I'm good. That's many emotional scars from that day with that. Oof.
Yes, that's right. And wounds to his lower body. Center of exposed mass. I mean, when that much is exposed, it's right about in, the man
not
part
good.
region.
I actually was at the range the other day, and somebody a couple of lanes over from me had one of the targets that had the hip bone, the hip bone
Oh, yeah,
ovals
yeah.
on that.
Mhm.
And this is immediately what I'm getting into mind when you mention this is that's it's a way to deal with the problem.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. Well, gosh, we don't always have something this interesting, but when I found this one, I thought Darren's gonna have fun with this and he's gonna love it. And
The last two you've sent me have been in this general realm, and it just makes me laugh. I mean, yikes! Again, I'll say that this is, by no means just because they're in your house is, shoot first, ask questions later. But boy, that just lowers the bar to that point where no question, right move on this one. That it's sad, it's unfortunate. Drugs make people do crazy things, but the law is going to protect the homeowner in this one. And I think any logical human being could draw the conclusion this guy was up to no good.
yeah, well, it's not the homeowner's fault that this guy chose to take drugs or become addicted or, to do stupid, crazy things. And they shouldn't have to suffer. They're already going to suffer because how are you going to walk into that house, for the next 5-10 years or whatever, without thinking about that? Man, that's got to leave some marks, I think.
Well, you don't feel safe in your own home. I mean, you think the door and the window failed me, and you start thinking about that. It's scary, and scary with a bit of humor, and the bad guy lived. Hopefully, lesson learned: stay off drugs.
Yes, yes, for sure. All right. Well, I'm glad the homeowners, had the firearm and they had time to get to it, and so, all's well that ends well. I mean, the right people were adequately punished in this one. I think.
My last point to this one, when I first started reading this, I saw big California, big city California Police Department. I thought, oh boy, here we go.
Oh yeah.
And to hear common sense out of a big city, political appointee police chief just actually gave me a little bit of hope.
Well, yeah, apparently there's a line that you can't cross. And even in California, you can't cross this line. So that is encouraging. All right. Well, hey, Deron, how can people find out more about what you do there in Ohio?
You can find me on shootingclasses.com on 1791 training. And I haven't had anything scheduled for a while, but I'm in talks with some people to start doing some classes again. And we're going to do some virtual self-defense and Ohio law classes here and start getting that on the schedule soon. So we'll start putting it up on shootingclasses.com.
Awesome. Awesome. All right, Deron, well, thank you very much. You had a great analysis, and you have yourself a great weekend.
Thanks, Skip. Take care.
All right, folks, that about wraps it up for this week's show. I've had a good time, and I hope you have too. Please don't forget to thank our sponsors, Center Shot Indoor Gun Range at centershotgunrange.com, shootingclasses.com to help you find the right trainer for your needs, Apple Tree Media for website security, and the United States Concealed Carry Association. For all your self-defense needs, go to uscca.com. All right, folks, I've written 20-plus books, and they're all available on Amazon.com in paperback, ebook, and audiobook. This week, check out my book, Stalking Natalie, and find out how a woman gets armed and takes out a serial killer. And also check out the Home Defense Show videos on rumble.com. And if you want training from me in person, then check out Midwest Tactical Training at shootingclasses.com. Join us again next week for all your home defense needs. In the meantime, watch out for those naked, crazy people on drugs. God bless and stay safe.
Thank you for joining us this week on the Home Defense Show. Now, get out there and protect the ones you love. We'll see you next week with more of the best.
Bye-bye, boys! Have fun storming the castle!